I want to repeat what I've said several times in the past about silver. Silver's got one ace that is going to bring it to the forefront of having an exponential financial growth as a precious metal. The reason being, it's not just a store of wealth or it's been traditionally used as money along with gold. It's because it has medical purposes. It actually has medical benefits. And it's been known to have medical benefits for thousands of years, literally. One other advantage to silver is that, having the medical benefits, you don't have to worry about it going bad like if it was an herb. If it was an herb and you had medical benefits for an herb, maybe you had a problem growing the herbs, or maybe you had it stored in containers and it could be subjected to light and moisture, whatever. There's electronic devices that work very well, like the Parazapper or Spooky Scaler, or maybe the HHO unit that I have that with the HHO gas and hydrogen gas. But these are devices that could be subject to, you need electricity to run them, or you also need to have, they're delicate in some cases, somewhat delicate. In other words, you can't put an electronic device underwater and expect it to work. In the case of silver, if it gets, it's not going to be succumbing to the elements and things like that. So that's one of the things. Also want to point out, if you look at palladium, okay, it did take a $135 an ounce hit today. It's down to $21.62. I was talking about buying palladium back when it was $200. I told this repeatedly. People were mocking me. It went up to 800, then it went down to 500, then it went up to 800, and then now it's surprisingly, I don't know why we went this high, but I expected it to be more than gold, worth more than gold. This was something I was saying years ago. People were mocking me for it back when silver was in the 40s. I do think silver is going to go way over the $50. It's going to be actually over $100 an ounce, but part of it is not just going to be due to speculation or the fact that it's a store of wealth, or traditionally it's been a store of wealth. I know gold is a store of wealth, but the thing is, silver, it's been used as money more, let's not get split hairs about that term money, but the real reason is going to be for the medical benefits. In an unsafe or uncertain world, having some silver, where you not just make colloidal silver, but you can also put the silver in a barrel of water or a bucket of water or whatever. It can help. It does have some antimicrobial properties. Now, I want to also say that there's a lot of disinformation out there, in this alternative media. You'll see even sites that were banned off of YouTube, like Alex Jones. He's still alive and well. He's on BitChute. I subscribe to him, but I barely ever watch any of his videos because I realize he's, even if he's not a shill, I don't really care about listening to drama. I really don't. I want something practical. So I'm just reminding you again, because it's just like sometimes I reread something I already know, and I say to myself, I forgot about that. And, I just want to tell you again that it's not just silver because it's been used as in coinage all this time. It's been used as for an exchange of goods, as a barter system. It's because it's got medical purposes. That's where it has an ace over anything else. And that's why I think it's actually going to do very, very, very well in this uncertain world. I want to remind you back here, this is in 1914. Look at the New York Times headline. Heir to the Austrian throne is slain his wife and the Bosnian youth to avenge seizure of his country. That led to World War I. And now, actually, to tell you the truth, there's a lot more than that led to World War I. One thing I got to point out, though, is, if you really want to be free, you got to really question authority and question what the purpose is behind your leaders. Now, I know they got the iconic symbol of the American biker, free and freed. Well, I know reality is today they're pretty much controlled by the alphabet agencies, the police, and all that other stuff, and they're just being used. And if there's any real bikers out there that are outlaw gangs, the authorities will slam them in 2 seconds flat. That's pretty much what the situation is, at least with the biggest outlaw biker gangs. But, they just want to point out that the idea of questioning authority and being on your own is really how you want to be. Now, I know in the 60s, the hippie movement was something of a mixed bag, questioning authority, but many of them weren't doing the work. That's another problem. So, but the other side of it is this, and this is where you got a major problem with the American people in general, and also people that are coming here. of government big enough to give you everything you want is strong enough to take everything away, right? Thomas Jefferson. And a lot of people are coming here because, why? They got something to gain by getting it from the government. Well, that can turn around and just be the recipe that you don't want, because the government itself can turn around and take it away from you plus more. This is one of the problems we got with the socialistic mindset, and it's just how it is. I've talked about this guy here, Donald Trump, on other videos. I got a mixed. It's a mixed thing with him. I've pointed out he's not everything he pretends to be, but he does have a patriotic streak. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. But he's compromised. Anybody who owns a lot of casinos, I'll guarantee you there's a lot of stuff going on with the money flow. Okay, just let me put it that way. So he's up to his eyeballs in a lot of stuff, and he always has been. So he's compromised, And old Jeffrey down there on the island, Donnie was part of that deal too, somewhat. It's not. He's compromised to the max, but he's got a patriotic streak. He's got my vote, but I also realize we got to watch with this guy. Now I know. The reason I brought this up though is I know that there's been predictions. I know I'm friends with David Goldstein that in late 2021, 2022, around that area, time after Donnie gets the second term for president, there's going to be an economic collapse in the United States. Now, I have pointed out that in several videos going back a few years about the Deagle.com predictions for population in the United States. And the 2025 predictions were, right now, they're 99.5 million people. They were 68 million, 64 million, down to 53 million. I was following this all along. And then when Donnie got president, they upped the predictions a little higher to still losing 2/3 of the population of the United States by 2025. Now, I don't think that's actually a totally accurate prediction, but roundabout, probably correct. And the reason is the debt situation and how we are so interdependent even on complex technology. And this is why another reason is you want to go back to old school. I know the old American panhead rigid frame chopper, maybe a rebel flag instead of a Union flag on it, but it'd be nice to have something like that that's nice and simple for transportation, that you can actually roll over the bumpy spots where you can't drive through. But what I'm pointing out is that this is where you want to go old school with silver, because say, for instance, you got to move. You can take your 50 ounces of silver or whatever you got, stick it in a box, and take it with you. It's got medical purposes behind it, too. That's the thing. That's what I look at really key to that thing, why it's worth so much. It's got medical purposes. I know other metals got industrial purposes. Silver's got industrial purposes. Gold's got industrial purposes, platinum, palladium. But really, and I know these other metals do have some medical purposes also, but but if I would pick number 2 for a metal that has medical purposes, it would be copper. But silver you're a lot better off with. The thing is, you don't have to worry about it getting destroyed by weather or heat, or not maybe heat, like I'm talking like 100-degree Fahrenheit heat. I'm not talking about 5,000-degree heat, but you know what I'm talking about. It's going to hold up. It's going to hold up. So it can always be used to help with your water storage. It can be used to, if you get some, if you got access to electricity again, you don't need any complex instrument to make colloidal silver. And it's got antimicrobial capacities, not just internally, but also externally. Also can be used to disinfect things. So it's got a lot of uses. Now, getting back to Donnie, I do appreciate Donnie more than the Clintons or the Bushes. Remember George just keeps saying, I was out of the loop. It's always works, I don't know nothing. I didn't know nothing. Yeah, whatever, same deal. But the shrewdest of us realize that things are coming down. They're bad. And what I got to get on here, too, is I know a lot of these sites on YouTube that are very successful and they're pushing your videos, and they're monetized, like I'm not monetized. Now, it doesn't mean Just because you're not monetized and even if you've been kicked off YouTube, that doesn't mean you're not a shill, because somebody else could be backing you. You know, in the case of AJ and stuff like that, and there's a bunch of them. And one thing that pisses me off, and I'm just throwing this in here. You got these idiot and white nationalist idiots out there. I am not a white nationalist in the least. I can tell you that right now. I'm white, but I'm not for like freaking putting down the authoritarian rules. Not in a million years. But you know how these guys want to have all that stuff, and they're like, and a lot of these groups are probably more than likely at the top levels pushed by the nefarious groups that are using them to basically destroy this country. But you know what? What you got to stick with is the Bill of Rights. That's what you got to stick with. The heck with this nationalism, whatever the garbage is. Stick with the Bill of Rights. Individualism. So the shrewdest of us realize that's really one reason I'm not really religious. I'm not saying I'm an atheist or nothing like that. And I do lean towards Judaism. That means I lean that way. I mean, I'm not like, I'm not into all the practices and everything. And, I'll have some bacon on occasion, whatever, fine. I mean, I guess that would be leaning towards Reformed Judaism. But the thing is, I realize that, religion's a lot about control. I mean, you look all the way back, and, this is the whole 9 yards with the silver, too. It's a way that you get out of the control grid. Because the next step, everything is like, nobody actually even sees paper money anymore, practically, right? You got checks, you got credit cards, you got PayPal, you got cryptocurrencies. Physical silver is still got, this is why I used to get, physical silver's got this thing where it's independent. And that's why you want to be independent every way. Just want to remind you of that stuff. Be independent every way. Now, another thing I started thinking of is, since I've got so suppressed on this YouTube stuff, it's like I'm like this woman in a ball here. Like I'm trying to get the message out, but you can't get it through the ball, because the algorithms stop it, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going back to old school. I'm going through paper, and I'm going to get it more active with the public and get stuff out there, especially even on the Confederacy, because I could tell you one thing. Again, getting back to this thing with independence, I know they blame the South. The reason they supposedly invaded the South was to free the slaves. That's a crock of crap. It was all over money and control, that's what it is everywhere with everything today. The technology is money control. You got to get out of this. You got to get out of this technology grid. I'm going back to more with paper. Putting out these YouTube videos. I promised I was going to be putting out BitChute videos, but you know what the problem is with BitChute right now? I can't get the freaking, I can upload them, but I can't get the thing processed and published. It gets stuck in a loop where it's processed and published is going on infinitely, so I can't even get, you know what's going on with them? They're overloaded. There's 2 full-time people in BitChute running that platform, plus a bunch of helpers, bunch of part-time people. There's only 2 full-time people doing that. They're overloaded. Used to be that my videos were automatically linked and I can add another one if I want. I can't even do that anymore. Now, I also want to point out something. This is one of the biggest dangers to independent thought in America. It's psychotropic drugs. This is what I got really annoyed with Donald Trump when he was talking about the red flag laws and using the social media to identify people that might be a problem and haul them away and giving them treatment and turn them into a drug addict and frying their brain. This guy, well, you know what? He's Trump's owned. If he had a choice, I know the guy's a narcissistic, hooray for me guy to the max. They all are with that kind of money, believe me. But he does have a patriotic streak, and he's not as bad as other people. So I'm going to wind up voting for him, but I'm just wary of what's going on. But what I'm saying is, this is probably one of the, you think the social media's got control. This is the other freaking method of control. Again, silver is one aspect of how you want to be independent and away from the control grid. So it's like that's an aspect of one thing. But you got to also look at, what things they're coming up with. to control people in itself and also even steal their property is through these red flag laws and different types of acts to say that, you're a danger to yourself or your whatever, or somebody else because you got mad at somebody and said something. They could nail everybody with this damn thing, and then they drug you up. And I'll tell you, getting back to religion, I don't care if you're the most pious Christian in the world. If they give you these drugs, you're not going to care about nothing. You'll forget about your Jesus in 2 seconds flat, believe it or not. That's how powerful that stuff is. Now, I also want to point out, a lot of this stuff has probably been predicted a long time. Remember Albert Pike? He was a Confederate. Now, they don't take any Confederate statues down. They take all these Confederate statues down. They want to do that, right? There's one that's in D.C., Washington, D.C., Albert Pike. This guy was a 33-degree Mason or something, or 32-second-degree Mason. He predicted the 3 world wars. He's predicted, like, pretty much everything he said in the past. I know they say it's a conspiracy theory, but I doubt it. Well, here it says 32. Double-headed eagle of Lagash that's actually on his, his monument. They don't even talk about this monument being in Washington, D.C. I'll guarantee if this was the pious General Lee who was onto Israel history of Israel, very fair man. If General Lee had a statue in Washington, D.C., they would already been voting to tear it down. But this satanic guy, they don't touch it. Not everybody in the Confederacy was a saint, but the good guys like Stonewall Jackson, Robert E. Lee, they'll tear those down. But this bad guy, he's okay to be in Washington, D.C. See, that's another game. This is all about control and controlling the population. But how they're really doing it is not even just through psych drugs. It's through everything they put in your food and everything they also put in your regular medicines and stuff. So they're doing a number on the American people so they don't think independently, and they're lethargic, and they don't even want to freaking take the effort to try to be independent. They want to keep them like dumb, happy lemmings, right? That's what's going on. So anyway, I'll be signing off right now. Actually, I did get one strike on something on YouTube from just recently, something I put out years ago. It was about the protocols of the elders of blah, 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 and actually said it was a fake and a forgery, and they gave me a strike. I didn't say it was real. I said it was a fake and a forgery. The protocols of the, you know what I mean? And which, to me, that screams this. It screams that they don't even want any attention to them at all, which means that they're not freaking fake and forgery. At least, as applied to a certain elitist group that is within a, I know you guys, you'll hate the, I know you guys think, but it's only one part of the main that's really doing that stuff. But this thing, broadcast yourself. Yeah, that means broadcast yourself so we can know everything about you, control you, manipulate social opinion. We'll push only things that we want to push because we are the control mechanism. I know. This is why I'm going. Remember, I'm talking about going silver is important to be independent because it's physically owned. Well, the way to get information out is going to have to be physical with paper, not through this venue. Not through this venue. So I've been trying to do BitChute, but boy, they're overloaded. I can tell you right now, man. I try to look at some stuff on there, and they're just. I hats off to these two guys, but I'm going to try to get to my videos up there again. I'm trying to even get most of my videos up there that I put on YouTube, but the thing is, it's difficult. It's like they're overloaded. But like I said, physical silver is the way to go. Physical food. Hey, physical food. You think you want electronic food? Huh? You want to have an app on your cell phone that says, "Oh, I could dial up this meal." You think, and you think it's going to appear in real time right in front of you? No. Think of it that way, because it only takes one EMP for all your electronic finances to go out the window. But like I said, silver is going to have that big ace over all the other precious metals or any other commodities, in that it's got the most medical benefits. Nothing else has that. And it's like you don't have to worry about, if I have an electronic device, it gets wet, it shorts it out, it screws it up. Yeah, maybe you could I mean, to me, I like the Paris Zapper the best for the electronic devices because I could put that in a little plastic baggie and it'll keep it from getting wet and screwed up. But it only requires a 9-volt battery. And it's very portable. But even that, it's not as fail-safe as silver. But of course, Paris Zapper is going to work better than silver. But the thing is, if you're applying the silver correctly, and in other words, with how you're making a colloidal silver, and you're taking enough of it, and you're using it to disinfect things in your your habitat, well, that's going to do a lot. And once people figure this out, you know what's going to happen? It's gonna. There's not enough silver around for even everybody to even have 1 ounce. So you don't need a lot of it to have. You can have 10 ounces. That could be plenty for medical benefits for yourself. And that's all you really need. And not for investment purposes, but for medical benefits. But you know what? Most people don't even have 1 ounce. And again, I want to go back to my prediction about, I talked about this palladium years ago. People saying, I know it went down a lot today, but it's been going up a lot. It was like 2,400 or something before. I mean, whatever. But the thing is, people were mocking me for saying that. And I said, I don't think so. Now, not everything I did, I know. If you look back, I was predicting that silver was going to go down at 18 and bottom out there, and I didn't think it was going to 14, whatever the hell it went to. I never thought that. But on the bright side of that, I was talking 18 when people were saying it was never even going to go below 24. So, I mean, I wasn't as far off as some people, but boy, it sure has been a long climb back up. And so, the palladium indication is growth and value is is an indication that where silver is going to be going. So, I mean, today probably. It depends on how the markets go. If the markets crash, let's just say this about palladium. If the markets take a real serious nosedive, palladium is going to freaking go down like 80% or something like that. It's going to go right through the floor. Guarantee you that. But I don't think the markets are going to take a serious nosedive just yet. I think that's later on in 2021. So, but palladium right now is risky if you're going to buy it. But silver isn't. No, not at all. You're going to hold on to that for a while. You should be good to go. Over and out.